And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Top Gun strategy game. Now, Top Gun is obviously a very famous movie, and they have a sequel to it coming out this year, which is why this game exists. This game was put together by Prospero Hall, which does a lot of IP games, and sometimes they're fantastic, and sometimes they're okay, and sometimes they're not even good. But they usually do more good than they don't. So I was very curious how this game works. It has both volleyball, based on the scene from the movie, and it also has flying planes. Flying planes is how you win the game. Playing volleyball is how you determine who's better at flying, because that's how life works. Let me show you. The game's going to take place over several rounds until someone wins, and at the beginning of each round, you're going to play volleyball. You're going to take 9 cards that have your color, so pink and blue, and place them on your side of the net any way you want. One side's going to have the bump save here, and then you're going to serve the volleyball. You put it on any card on your opponent's side you want. If they have bump save, they can just say, I'm bumping it. They can use that to move it 1 or 2. Or they can reveal the card. Here they reveal the card. It's a bump. They can move it 1 or 2 in any space, so they bump it across the net. I then reveal this card set. I can move it 1 space in any direction. I move it over here. Is a bump. I bump it across the net. I'm going to bump it 2 over here. They're going to bump it 1 over this direction. Oh, that's a whiff. They probably wouldn't have done that, right? You're trying to find your opponent's whiffs. Every time you make it land on someone else's whiff, you get a benefit. So here, the pink team would get 1 green pilot tile. These are going to help you in the second round, and 1 green WSO card, which will also help you in the next round. And so players are trying to find their opponent's whiffs. The round ends when you find all 3 whiffs. There's 3 of them on the sides. If you find a spike, you can just put the card anywhere you want on your opponent's side. And once 3 whiffs have been found, then the volleyball portion of this game is over, and we move to the next phase. Whoever wins the volleyball phase is going to determine if they're going to be the attacker or defender. You'll draw a random scenario from scenario cards and set it up that way. Each person has a plane that's going to be set at a certain elevation. The attacker is trying to get a target lock on the defender. If they do that, they're going to score 5 points. The defender is just going to try to get either a target lock on the attacker, which also gives you 5 points, or they can collect 3 of these waypoint tokens, each of which are worth 2 points. Players have a shield. They're going to have access to 5 WSO cards of their own color and any of the green ones that they've gotten over the course of a round. Plus, they have access to their tiles, plus any green ones that they have. Now, they're going to secretly determine, one person, if you're playing 4 people, one person's going to do the tiles, the other person does the card. You're going to pick these tiles, and these tiles are going to determine your movement. So you can see what the tile does is it shows you where you start and how you end as you play these tiles. It will also tell you if you go up or down in elevation. You can never go below elevation 1, so you can't play a tile that will crash you. Although if your elevation at the top, elevation 4, you just stay there if you play a plus. So if I play this one, for example, it's going to move me so that I'm like this. That's how it works. One of them will let you repeat your previous move, and once you get the green ones, there's all kinds of cool, weird things that you might get. This one allows you to go really fast to the next hex, just shoot farther ahead. The card that's played is going to allow you to get target locks on the opponent, but once you play a card, you're not going to get it back until you play the card Retrieve Cards. And this will show where you are and you're facing, and you get a bonus against the person if there are no spots, and there's a negative to the person trying to shoot you if they're in those spots trying to get you. And so you're just trying to play the correct card at any given point in time. Or you can just play this card that doesn't let you do a target loss at all, but allows you to ignore, for example, elevation loss. So each round, players are going to be playing 2 tiles and 1 card. And then after all the movements are done and you change the positioning and stuff, then it's possible to have a target lock. If an opponent's within an attack on your card, so if you have a card and it's here and my opponent is here, so let's say I'm the blue player and look at that, the pink player is directly in front of me. I'm going to get to roll 3 dice here against them. These dice have a target lock on 2 sides. I just need to roll target lock to achieve target lock, which will end the scenario. But they might have a minus, so I might get to roll fewer dice, and I might miss, and in which case we keep going on. Meanwhile, the defender, every time they move over one of these spots, will be collecting these. So that it's going to end as soon as someone gets a target lock on somebody else, which gives them 5 points. You take the token for that. Or if the defender gets 3 waypoints, then you see how many points you have. You're going to need more than this to win the game. You need 12 points to win. So you go back playing volleyball again. Then you do this again. And you keep going until someone gets 12 points, and that team is the winner. There's some parts of the components that I like a lot. These airplanes are pretty neat. They're acrylic, and they just slide in and out of here to show what level they're on. And because they have a clear base and everything, it's really easy to move them around. I also like the tiles. The tiles make it really simple to figure out where if I start here, then I end here, and when I'm putting them in front of me, okay, so then the next tile says if I start here. So I'm starting here and going here. It's really simple to see how movement works in this game. Card quality is okay. Volleyball net quality is bleh. I don't even know why it's in the game. I mean, it's there, I guess, to show the thing. It's not a very expensively produced game. Most of the stuff is pretty low quality. You get what you pay for. It's a pretty inexpensive game. The look of the game's good. I mean, they obviously didn't get the rights to Tom Cruise, but you do have some, it has a neat thing, and this also explains, it's a pretty simple game to explain to people, with the exception of the volleyball phase, which is a little odd, and we'll talk about that now. The volleyball game is pretty stupid. It just is. I get why they put it in there. It's almost like a selling point for the game. It's like, hey, in this time, by the way, there's a volleyball phase. People are like, what? That's amazing. But it's not amazing. It's funny that they put it in there, but it's literally just try to figure out where your opponent put those cards, and you bump around a volleyball, and it's like this little mini game, which I played it. The first game I played, I was like, oh, okay, great. Whatever, okay, we got some extra tiles and cards for some of the players. Let's now go to the next phase. And then we go to the next phase, and when we were done, I was like, oh, we got to set up the volleyball thing again? It's just, you got to play the volleyball game multiple times. After a while, we're like, can we just each draw 1 green card and 1 green tile and call it a day? So that's okay, and it doesn't make any thematic sense how being good at volleyball makes you a better pilot, but whatever. So let's talk about the flying part. It's okay. I played a lot of these games, a lot of these airplane versus airplane style games. This one is very, very low key. You're flying around, you roll some dice. It's really lucky. In fact, it reminds me of Screaming Eagles, which was a fun game that I played when I was a kid, where you flew planes around and rolled dice to attack someone. And that was a mass market game. And that one still was better than this one. This one's okay. I don't need these games to be super complex. They can be. But this one has like complexities like height, and you get benefits or disadvantages. I didn't mention in the rules, how many dice you roll based on if you're higher than your opponent. Fine. And it almost feels like there's a little bit of complexity, but at the end of the day, you're just going around and rolling dice. And it's very, very lucky. It's okay. I think this does justice to the theme of the game. I'm not going to say it's bad, but I don't want to play it anymore. I hate the volleyball phase. I think it's boring. And it just feels like a waste of time to set up. But you can't just skip it, because that's how you get those extra WSO cards and the tiles, and they can be really cool. The tile system is great. It's the best part of the game. The card system is also kind of interesting, and it does work as a 4-player game, because you're kind of working together and saying, I'm going to play this card, or you're trying not to give out too much information to your opponents. I'm going to play this card, I'm going to play these tiles, and you're working together. So on that, I'll give this applause, that I think this game actually is a little bit better with 4 than it is with 2. Other than that, though, it's a little bit forgettable. It's going to sell because of the Top Gun name, and some people will enjoy the very, very light tactical combat and possibly volleyball phase. And some people are going to get a giggle out of the volleyball phase, but getting a giggle isn't good enough for me to want to play a game again. But it might work for you. That's Top Gun. Check it out. Dice Tower Judgment? It's okay. But I don't know. Yeah, I guess if you really like Top Gun,